Hello and welcome to gorgeous mid Wales at the Dolly's Farm campsite. Today I'm going to show you how to put up this Habitat universal porch. First things first, put up your main tent. In this case we have a Zenobia 8 Nightfall tent. And then take the porch out of the bag and lay it out with the entrance to the porch facing away from the tent and what I call the tail of the porch facing towards the tent. You then need to make up the two poles for the tent just by slotting them together, and then it's time to slot the poles through the sleeves on the porch. Both poles are exactly the same, so you don't need to worry about which pole you put in which sleeve, it makes no difference. Once the poles are through the sleeves, you then need to clip them into the eyelets at the bottom. The eyelets for each pole are connected by a strap that goes across the bottom of the porch, so just make sure you are clipping into the right eyelets. You can now lean the porch up against the tent and just make the final clips at the bottom of each pole to the porch. It's then time to take the tail of the porch and throw it over your tent. Now this can be a bit tricky, as you can see here it took me a couple of times to get it right. But once it's over, you can see here we have these two large guy lines that will need strapping down. And these quite tight, but you don't want them so tight that they're pulling the roof of your tent down. You also want the tail of the tent to be perfectly over the centre of your door. So the centre of the porch and the centre of your door to your tent should line up. And this puts the pressure from those two large guy lines on the poles, not the material of the tent. We can now start to peg down the front of the porch. So first of all, get the rear pole as close to your tent as possible and peg that down at the base, and then also stretch it out and peg the front ones down. We can then move on to the pegging points at either side of the door, so stretch that out again and peg those down, and the porch should start to take some shape. At this point, it's then a good idea to go around and just make any adjustments that you think need to be made. On your first attempt it can take a few times to get this right, but the more you put it up the better you'll get at pegging it out in the right place first time. You're just aiming to get the sides of the porch square to each other and at a right angle to the main tent. And everything looks straight and taut. Once you're happy with how the porch looks, it's time to peg all the guy lines out. So get them all out, get them to the right length. It can be a bit tricky to get them. You might have to adjust the length to get them to fit in with the guy lines from your main tent, if that makes sense, so they don't cross over each other or pull down on each other. But it's fairly easily done, and just go around and make sure they're all pegged out. Tight, but not too tight that they're pulling on the porch and making it out of shape. And there you have it, you've pitched your high gear Habitat universal porch. One last thing to note is that at the base of the porch where you've pegged it down, not the guy lines, the actual porch itself, there are some adjustment straps, so you can pull them tighter to bring the base of the porch closer to the ground, so you can make that gap around the bottom as even as possible. And there you have it, look at it. That's what you're aiming for, and it's a great space to have on the side of the tent. Now I will be doing a review of this porch in my next video, so please subscribe for that. Thank you for watching, I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please give it a like. And like I say, a subscription would be fantastic. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.